Oh, hello. So I was just listening to something, and this word slave. So I was listening to, the Matrix in the beginning to free your mind, which I already knew it was a Matrix. And I think what's going on pretty much is a little bit worse than the Matrix by now, though. It's a little bit worse. But, excuse me. Oh, my goodness. Cut that out. I'm sorry. I just yawned. But it's getting a little late and I didn't sleep well last night. But I wanted to say this. So I was listening to this thing about the Matrix. I just felt like listening to everything about the virtual reality holographic world, however people want to describe it. I just don't want to listen to anything else right now because I am going through something where I don't want any more illusion that has already been put in me from believing in this physical world since being born to now. I don't want any more narratives or any more indoctrination. So I literally barely look at anything. I literally barely look at anything. And the couple of people that I do watch, I'm probably going to eventually stop watching them because there's still a sense of attachment to the world, even though they could be considered higher in consciousness and spiritual and stuff like that. There's still an attachment to a physical world even with them. And when you are completely wanting to literally leave, detach from it, and then it's almost like even them, as knowledgeable as they are, there's still an attachment in their energy to the physical world. So, but anyway, with the Matrix, Morpheus told Neo, the air you breathe is not real. It's simply a false world, a fake world that has been pulled over you to keep you a slave. It's like the air that you breathe is not real. It's simply a false world that has been pulled over you, right? And then he told Neo, you are a slave. And that's basically what I've been saying that a lot of us are dealing with. That's why I said in some of my previous uploads, how do you run out of food when you're not even in the physical world to begin with? I understand getting seeds. That's why I keep talking about getting seeds. That's why I always talk about how people, I don't mind preparing. But I don't mind preparing to work on elevating yourself more spiritually and less dependent on a physical world. But just to buy a bunch of stuff and stock up, but continue to stay dependent on the physical world, I think is a terrible idea. Why? Because the ego world, the physical world, is going to pass away. Heaven and earth will pass away. If I'm not mistaken, earth is like the physical world, the so-called physical illusion, right? Heaven and earth was going to pass. So is heaven. So you might not want to just strive to go to heaven either. Okay, because heaven, to be honest with you, is not where the great mother is. That's where the father is. But that's not where the great mother is. Okay? So heaven and earth will pass away. So to be stocking up on something, even if you're buying seeds and about eating organic food, that's why I say eating healthy, what you would call eating healthy, it doesn't necessarily make you woke. It doesn't necessarily make you woke. Because if that's the case, there'll be a whole lot of vegetarians and vegans that'll be some of the most awoke people in the world, and they're not. People who eat all kinds of healthy, grow their own food, all organic and nice and healthy, still have an attachment to the physical world. You might hear some deep stuff that come from them, but for the most part, they still have an attachment to the physical world. And I can eat burgers and fries today or tomorrow because it's too late, and I can still realize that this illusion is nothing to hold on to. Okay, but it all depends on how your life is being, and if you had a considerable amount of kind of negativity in your life as far as relationships and stuff since like the childhood, the world is nothing to hold on to. If that's just going to be my experience. And yeah, you can say, okay, but you can create your reality. I don't want to create anything at this point. I want to create just enough as long as I still stay dense. That is the point I was making about all them seeds and buying seeds and stocking up. I was never disagreeing with it. I was just saying the physical world is going to pass away. And if people want to buy stuff and stock up and call themselves holding on to a physical world, they're going to die in it. They're going to become to a point where they don't even exist anymore. Like there'll be no more. So that's kind of the point I was making. Because you're in a computer system. You're in a computer system. And eventually that computer system is, I don't know how it's going to happen. But they say heaven and earth is going to pass away. Okay. But yeah. Now, I want to talk about, when Neo called, when Morpheus called Neo a slave, it reminded me of that picture with Prince. And he had this word slave. I mean, literally his picture, that picture with the word slave on Prince's face popped up. And it's interesting how people try to get a point across, and you literally, with these artists, I noticed this with Michael Jackson, with Prince, and even with Beyonce in a way. Because they have signed a lot of contracts and made a lot of oaths, they can't come out and tell you flat out the truth. So what you got to do is learn how to read between the lines. And when he had that word slave on his face, it made it look like it was about his record label. And the reason why it was easy to believe that it was just about his record label is because the record label does enslave people. That's not a lie, right? That's not a lie. And then you might have heard stories with all of these people, how they've had problems with their record labels. So it's easy to see it like that because that is 100% true. But the fact that that picture popped up in my mind as soon as I heard Morpheus say, Neo, you're a slave, what popped up in me is the Matrix. And it's not so much you're a slave when you don't realize you're a slave. Because you're a slave mentally, not necessarily physically. You're a slave mentally. Okay? So he was telling Neo that he is a slave mentally. He's a slave. And there's a lot of ego deaths. He kept dying and waking up, dying and waking up. There's a lot of ego deaths that he had to go through. Ego deaths. But yeah, and then as listening to that, it's like two fish in a body of water, right? We can clearly see because we were on the outside looking in, right? So people on the outside looking in can always see much more clear than the people that's on the inside that can't see out. So it's like two fish that's in a big body of water, and those fish don't even realize they're in water. Okay, they don't even realize they're in water. This is just an example. They don't even realize they're in water. And then something come and tell them, you're in water, right? And they look at you like you're crazy. They look at you like you're crazy, like, I'm not in water. Oh, by the way, we're in water. Anyway, yeah. Sometimes when I hit a certain level of meditation, I come out of a big body of water and I see a sun. That is so interesting that we're in water. We're literally underwater. We're like a computer system too, but we're underwater. Oh my gosh. That's the flood that happened in the real world, huh? You know how I answer my questions, don't you? Is that the flood that happened in the real world? Anyway, it's interesting how I saw that, because sometimes when I meditate, and I don't know how I do it sometimes, but I literally come out of a big body of water, like it's a never-ending ocean. I come out of a never-ending ocean. I don't see any land at all. It's like a never-ending ocean, almost like Noah. Not Noah, yeah. Like the flood. But the flood happened on the real world and not the fake world. And then I see a sun. When I come out of it, I see a sun. That is so interesting. Are we the fish? We the fish. Anyway, so I didn't know I was going to say that part. But yeah, it's like, and you tell the fish, you know you're in water, right? And the fish like, you crazy, we're not in water. Because you don't see the water around you. And so we can see, when we go to a real ocean that we know what it look like, we see the fish in there, but then we don't know that we're in the water. We don't know we're in the water. Because we don't see the water. But then there's like, it's funny how we're like in water, literally. I do come out of water. I do come out of water. You know, and I asked the question of Spirit, what does it really look like underneath that water? Guess what Spirit showed me? Spirit showed me a bunch of corpses. Spirit showed me a bunch of corpses. When I came out of water, I saw the sun. So anyway, yeah. We're underwater. But yeah. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say now. I was talking about we're underwater. I don't think it matters because I would have remembered it. But if I do, if I think it's worth clicking back on and talking about it, I'll talk about it. Anyway, yeah, but we're definitely in the computer because I remember hovering over it. It looked like how you see CERN look like. The shape of CERN looked like that cross X looking thing. But I saw it looked like it was buried on the ground. So if I saw it buried on the ground, that means I was no longer in the computer. I was outside of the computer. Like my spirit was outside of the computer. And it looked dark outside, like it was dark. And it was like grass, you know, it's like something been buried a long time, but you still see the shape of it. Buried underground, you still see the shape of it. But you can tell it's been there like hundreds of years or something. And it had like grass and stuff growing on top of it. Now they show you a picture of it like this is some building like you can just see, and maybe you can, I don't know, but when I came in spirit, when my spirit came out of, I think my spirit might have came out of it, but anyway, I don't know. And I saw the exact way that thing looked, that picture looks, and I saw the top of it though, because it's buried underground. But it's buried underground in the real world. You can't see it like here because you're inside of a virtual reality. So you can't see it like that, but you have to come outside of the computer. If you look at other videos, I mean, you know, you can type in virtual reality and they'll say, yeah, the computer is in a location called other. They always say that. The computer is in a location called other. They don't know what a computer is. You have to come outside of the computer to know where it is. You have to actually come outside the computer and be in a real world to know where the computer is. You don't know where it is when you're inside of the computer. You know? It's interesting, but I didn't know I was going to say all that, and I don't think I have anything else to say. I will talk later.